Welcome back to Gaelic Fan TV. It is the football review show. I'm joined here by Matthew Hurley from the Gaelic Statsman podcast. We're here to review all the weekend's action, discuss all the weekend's games. Obviously, plenty of talking points, plenty to discuss that happened in the Alliance National Football League at the weekend. You had a huge win for Derry. They beat Monaghan fairly convincingly, and they sit very comfortably at the top of Division 1. Kerry obviously left it late to beat Mayo. David Clifford obviously coming up trumps once again, 5 points from play, and he kicked the winner right at the end. Dublin got their first win of the National Football League, and of course you also had first wins in Division 2 for the likes of Meath. Kildare and Cork continued their disappointments with respective defeats. Obviously Armagh beating Kildare quite comfortably, and Cavan getting the victory over Cork. And in Division 3, some big wins in there for the likes of Down, Clare, huge result for them versus Offaly. And even down in Division 4, plenty of late drama in Leitrim's game as well, as they came through a win versus Wexford. But Ryan O'Rourke actually scored a hat-trick, so good to see him back in the Leitrim side and good to see him getting back amongst the goals. Matthew, first of all, how's things? I mean, I was chatting to you briefly off air there about the Cork defeat and everything else, so it's fair to say the spirits are not so good in regards to Cork football at the minute.
It isn't really, no. And thanks for having me on again, Aaron. And you know what? It's a pleasure to watch the likes of Kerry and Mayo last night when I got home. Galway, Tyrone today, Kildare, Armagh for a small bit, even though I actually had to train up to Thurles and Tipperary, so I actually didn't watch any of the game. But even to look at those games and look at the scorelines and the stories, it's absolutely brilliant to see those, because it takes your mind off what's going on in Cork at the moment. I think it's well documented. Donald Hughes had a bit of a rant last week. Like, it's no coincidence that the hurlers, the footballers, the NGFA players are all struggling. Only the Cabogie players won this weekend against Kilkenny, so at least there's that. But no, it's not good at the moment, Aaron. In not just the Cork footballers, but in whole Cork GA circles, between the debt, concerts, the results of the pitch, it is just drab at the moment. And I don't know how I can have a positive spin at Cork GA at the moment. It's just an awful place to be in. At least he got a win last night in Dublin. But Kildare, yeah, I seen the bits of the Kildare game, and I heard from Barty Morrissey and Turlock O'Brien on RT Radio 1. And according to them, it was almost like Kildare just out of touch with modern day football. And that was pretty bad to hear from a Kildare point of view. So maybe they're as bad as us, I'm not sure. But, you know, it's a tough place for Cork to be in at the moment. As you mentioned there, great stories. Ryan O'Rourke is a brilliant one, actually, scoring a hat-trick for Leitrim. He was on my podcast previously and actually dreamt of Leitrim winning a Connacht title. So hopefully, for his sake, that Leitrim one day win a Connacht title. But it's great for him to be back amongst the goals, back amongst the hat-trick. And to score a winning goal in the 74th minute as well is absolutely brilliant for his confidence, I'd imagine. So, good weekend in terms of Gaelic football, good weekend, good games in general. But in terms of a personal standpoint, not great, Aaron.
Absolutely. Yeah, as you said, plenty of talking points, all right, and we'll certainly get into it in due course. So anyone who's tuning in, if you can hit the like button, be much appreciated. It helps the channel out, and subscribe if you haven't already. A2 says maybe Kildare and Cork can have a clown off to see who gets relegated. I'm not too sure when that game is, but it could be. I'm not too sure. When do Kildare play Cork? Is it the second last game, or is it the one before that?
Third last game.
Third last game, yeah. So you probably, do you know what it is? That'll probably be the game where whoever loses that, is mathematically gone, I would say. Possibly, but depending on next weekend's games, you could basically both be gone by then as well. But we'll obviously have to wait and see. In fairness, Hurling 1, 2, 3, 4 says Glenn Ryan and journalist in a heated exchange post game. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, to be fair. Gaelic guy says I was at the Kildare game and game was over at halftime. Too easy. Rory says don't worry, Matthew, Cork will win Sam this year. Yeah, look, maybe if all the other teams pull out, I'm not entirely sure, but Kildare might get 2 points maximum, probably 0. And Cork's midfield and half-forward line big, but not natural kickers and footballers. Yeah, look, we'll certainly dive into it, and I suppose we'll start with the game that you referenced. Obviously, that was on last night. Kerry 16 points, Mayo 15 points. Obviously, David Clifford coming up trumps right at the end. Obviously, Mayo down to 14 men for the last 10 minutes as well. Very good game, in fairness. Both sides played very well. I actually thought Mayo played a lot better this time around, actually, than they did the week previous against Dublin. And although Kerry came out and won the game at the end from David Clifford's point, I actually think both sides probably be fairly happy with their performance. And I think both sides are going into the end of the league and the championship in a good place. Obviously, both of these two sides are sitting on 4 points. Like we'll throw the league table up in a moment, but I think both sides will be fairly happy with their performance. Kerry obviously being the happier with the win.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Mayo will be absolutely delighted going down to Tralee and producing that good of a performance. I thought, honestly, with Paddy Clifford there, David Clifford and Sean O'Shea, the three of them performed absolutely brilliantly last night, by the way. But with them at the forward line, I thought Mayo would have been goosed. And I think that was a solid test for Mayo last night. And they stood up to it. Like Ryan O'Donoghue, Fergal Boland's like a revelation this year at centre forward. Sam Candon, I know he got the red card at the end, second yellow card. Probably didn't need to run into the Kerry player like that. But at the same time, 2 points before that was a brilliant performance from him. Aidan O'Shea probably didn't have his best night, but Ryan O'Donoghue performed well. Ciaran O'Connor chipped in when he came on. So I think there's a lot of positives for Mayo moving forward. I think the fact that I know they won 2 league games, but I think this game was probably most significant out of the three, considering we've seen this so far from Mayo in the last few seasons. They peak too early, they get a few wins on the board, and everybody gets jolly and happy. This was a massive test for them last night, coming up against them 3 boys up front. And they definitely proved that they are one of all-Ireland contenders. They performed absolutely brilliantly last night. Tommy Conroy still needs a bit of minutes into his legs just to get him fully more fit. You have Matty Ruan in midfield, who's a decent player. So, yeah, and Rory Brickenden in the back line. I do think Mayo, there's a lot of positives to take for the game against Tralee. But for Kerry, just the normal thing with them. Like, if you give the ball to David Clifford, he's going to score. And even when you watched on the TV last night, I just thought when Kerry was going up the field, I was just saying to the people I was watching beside me, all they need to do is give the ball to him. If he gets the ball's going over the bar. And that's what it proved. He's just a magician on the ball. Paddy Clifford, absolutely outstanding as well last night, provided good quality service into his brother and Sean O'Shea last night, which was probably a sight that nobody in the country wants to see other than Kerry, because that is a dangerous sight. If you get them 3 playing, like, that is scary for the rest of the country. It really is. Shane Ryan had a good performance. Tyke Morley, in fairness, got a few minutes into his legs. Like, he normally would get 70 minutes under his belt, but like, that was his first game back in quite a while. I think since they got out of the final, correct me if I'm wrong now. So that was good to see him back in for a full game. You have Graham O'Sullivan back there as well. Joe O'Connor and Dermot O'Connor had good games in midfield as well. And Kerry are getting that midfield partnership going. Killian Burke at wing forward, really, really good last night. Again, I know he did score, but contributed really, really well. So I think there's a lot of positives for both sides. I really think so. Kerry obviously getting the win. Clifford performing expertly like he usually does. The big power players like the Tyke Morleys, the Joe O'Connors, Dermot O'Connors getting valuable minutes into their legs. And Mayo proving they are up there with the All-Ireland contenders. Will they win it? Not sure at this stage, but I think they're certainly up there, judging by last night's performance anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and from a Kerry perspective, like, you had Sean O'Shea with 4 points, David Clifford with 5 points, Paddy Clifford with 4 points as well. Like how important is it for Kerry to have all them fit and firing, because they are a completely different team when they are all at it, in fairness. And like, there probably is no better combination, is there, in terms of 3 forwards? I know Paddy Clifford operates in the half forward line, and Sean O'Shea, I suppose, has moved in now to being a full forward. But in terms of that combination between them 3 forwards, like, is there a better combination, do you think, in the country amongst 3 forwards right now than them 3?
Simple answer, Aaron, no. I honestly don't think so. I want to provide hope for the rest of the country, but I don't think there is. I just think it's the right balance. Like, you have Paddy at half forward knocking the ball into the 2 boys. You have David Clifford, every shot he takes, it nearly goes over the bar. And Sean O'Shea has found a perfect position at full forward. And to be fair, I know I mentioned Killian Burke and all them, but Dar Moynihan and Dylan Gainey deserve a lot of credit as well. Because, like, it's all right having the 3 lads, and they are absolutely brilliant in their own right. But to create a decent forward line, now All-Ireland winning forward line, you need all the lads to click. And Killian Burke, Dylan Gainey, and Derry Dominance are definitely doing it at this particular moment. So I do think it is the best trio in the country, but it wouldn't be the best trio without them three lads beside him as well. Like Dylan Gainey was excellent in the club championship for Donegal and definitely deserves his flowers in recent months or so. Killian Burke, up and coming young player, and I was a bit of unsure of him coming straight into the Kerry team, if I'm honest. But he's definitely proved me wrong, a lot of people wrong, but slotting in seamlessly into that Kerry team. And you look at Darmine as well. Like he's normally a bit power player. He normally plays that role brilliantly, and he does so again this year. So I think there's a lot of positives to move forward for Kerry. Like with the three lads in particular, I think honestly it is scary to offer the rest of the country. If they get room in Croke Park, they're going to cause havoc. And I think Kerry, if they keep them three lads fit, I think Kerry are going to win the All-Ireland this year. And I was stuck with that from probably the start of the league campaign. Once I heard that Sean O'Shea is going to full forward, as soon as I see them full forward at the McGrath Cup, I'm thinking it'll be very interesting to see Paddy and David come into this equation. They've come in now and they proved it last night. They are a threat that nobody wants to face in the championship.
Yeah, like, I suppose, like, because the fact they're all fit and firing now as well, like, when you think back to last year, like, it did take a while before they all really start, and Kerry in general, like, probably didn't really click into gear, probably until the Louth win, really, when you actually look at it. I mean, like, in Munster, they never really have to be at their best throughout the league. They got a couple of wins, obviously, to stay up. Then you're thinking back to the All-Ireland series, they obviously lost to Mayo in the opening game, struggled to get over the line against Cork. So it wasn't really until Louth where they really kicked into gear. And I suppose, look, they went on to reach the All-Ireland final in the end and had some good performances en route to doing so. But I mean, the fact they're all clicking into gear now, like, could that be an advantage for Kerry, do you think, further going down the line? Or could it maybe even be a case that, you know, a bit like what we saw with Mayo last season, Galway, maybe a little bit like Kerry putting all them lads in now, you know, could go against them later in the year if those lads burn out a little bit, or what do you think?
Like, it could be a positive and a negative. The positive way is Kerry have a different mentality to Galway and Mayo. No disrespect to any of those counties. Like, Mayo haven't won an All-Ireland since 1951 for a reason. Galway haven't won an All-Ireland since 2001 for a reason. Kerry are perennial winners. So I just feel there's a different dynamic in Kerry. There's a different mindset. And I think they'll be thinking, look at 2022. They won the league title at Cantor and they still won the All-Ireland that year. They produced the same form going into the championship and they don't drop levels of performance, Kerry. Any team that they have. Like, even going back to the likes of the 09 team with the likes of the Gooch, Declan O'Sullivan, Darren O'Sullivan, the 2014 team with James O'Donoghue, Kieran Donaghy, all of them, they don't drop their levels. It's just the history of Kerry, really. It's the history of Kerry football. They don't do so. But what I would say about Kerry and about the three lads, if one of them gets injured, that will be a massive test for Kerry. And I do think Kerry, you know, mind them well in a way. I don't think they get injured often. Like, when's the last time David Clifford got a serious injury? Paddy Clifford the same. Sean O'Shea the same, actually. I don't know when they actually got it. That's a genuine question. I don't know when they actually got a serious injury. So that tells you all to know about the Kerry medics, the Kerry the fitness team, that they could keep these three lads fit week in, week out. And even when David Clifford was playing for the likes of UL, Fossa, East Kerry, he's still fit as a fiddle. And you have to wonder, what is the secret with Kerry in the backward team? It's absolutely incredible in its own right. But I do think the only way it can be a negative that three these lads are the forefront for the Kerry team is that if one of them gets injured, it will be interesting how Kerry deal with that. But it hasn't happened yet. It might happen this year. I don't know. But I'm not a fortune teller, obviously. So we'll have to see over the next few months if that does happen. But for right now, I think it's a huge positive for Kerry that three of them lads are clicking into gear right away.
Liam says Kerry need the half forwards to contribute more scores. Too reliant on the Cliffords from a Kerry man. I suppose that has been the sort of argument maybe with Kerry. And I suppose last year when Clifford, I still think he had a very good game, but maybe he misses a few chances where he would usually score. And maybe you need other players to step up because you're not always going to have your David Clifford, your Sean O'Shea, your Paddy Cliffords. Like, they're not always going to perform week in, week out. So you do need other players to step up. And it goes for every county. But at the same time, when you look at David Clifford, Sean O'Shea, and Paddy Clifford, they very rarely ever not perform. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of them might have an off day, but then the others will turn up. Like, for example, last year, I don't think Sean O'Shea had the same levels and standards as he did in 2022. But yeah, Kerry still got to the final, and going into injury time against Dublin, the game was level. So like, they could have very well won that day. And when you think back to the season previous, they won the All-Ireland fairly handily. I mean, Galway gave them a fairly decent game in the final, but I thought they were always fairly comfortable en route to winning the All-Ireland. So, like, could that be a case that Kerry maybe need more? Or I think there is also an argument that they already have enough.
Yeah, I do think, like, even when you look at their full team, even their attack, like I mentioned, their attack in spades there, they have a midfield pairing now with Dermot O'Connor and Joe O'Connor. That probably would have been my concern going into the year, with Jack Barry leaving, with David Moore leaving over the last few seasons. How will Joe O'Connor and Dermot O'Connor slot into that midfield role? And I've heard from Kerry fans now that Dermot O'Connor is usually a half forward, he'd usually be a 10 or a 12. But this year in the league, he started off like a house on fire in midfield. You look at the half-back line, you have Gavin White there. Ty Morley got some minutes last night. You have Brian O'Biogley on the bench. You have Graham O'Sullivan, who's well able to get scores from corner back. Tom O'Sullivan there as well. Jason Foley usually does well in big pressure cooker games. You have Paul Murphy for experience there. Shane Ryan's one of the best goalkeepers in the country. So I do think nearly in every position, Kerry are nearly sorted. I think, honestly, they just didn't show up again in many parts of the championship last season. Like, when you think about it, Mayo beat them in Kildare. Cork should have beat them in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Okay, the Tyrone game. Derry should have beat them in the All-Ireland semi-final. And Dublin really deserves to win that All-Ireland final. And that was when Kerry weren't clicking in the league right away. They weren't clicking in the championship. I think now that they're clicking in the league, that these three players are clicking. And it probably will translate into championship, because the Munster championship is going to be easier than ever for Kerry this year, in my opinion. They're going to walk through Cork, and they're going to walk through whoever they cross paths with in the Munster final, and they'll be aiming towards the All-Ireland group stage. And then they'll get into the quarterfinals, and once they get to Croke Park, it'll be scary at the thought of them three guys clicking in particular once it reaches HQ. So I think there's a lot to be positive for Kerry fans at the moment, and I think they're on the right road to another All-Ireland title. That's just my view. I just think they finished the article already. I just think they're an unbelievable team. And yeah, they'll take some stopping.
Paul says here, I think the only team that can beat them is Derry. Yeah.
True.
We'll get onto Derry in a moment. I think that's a fair point. I think Derry are definitely in the conversation. I think Dublin are still there. I think Mayo are in and amongst it, but I think you would have to say, out of all the contenders, I think Derry probably does look the best at the minute. In terms of finishing up on Mayo, as he said there, like, probably actually one of their better performances so far this year, even though they actually lost the game. Like, I suppose defensively as well, I thought Mayo had some very bright moments, and they showed a lot of resilience, in fairness, to come back into it. And I think that's maybe been a bit of criticism of Mayo in the last few years. Like, we all know the talent that they have. Some of the younger players that have come in the last few years, it's just maybe been a bit of resilience, a bit of bite that they've maybe missed. And look, I think we won't know the answer to those questions until the championship really comes around, because in the last 2 years, really, probably since they beat Dublin in 2021, anytime they've faced huge adversity where there's been a lot on the line, they've crumbled. You know, like, I know they've had a few, like, fair enough, they beat Kerry and Killarney, but there wasn't really a lot on the line in that game, I don't think. So yeah, like, those are still going to be big question marks. But in fairness, you have to commend them for how well they fought to get back into it, and I suppose nearly could have won it as well.
And especially with 14 men, like, Mayo could have easily, in a league game, they could have easily thrown in the towel and think, okay, Sam Cannon's gone, we may as well move on to the next game, lads. But no, they stuck with it, and in Tralee as well, which is a tough place to go. So I think there's a lot of positives. As I said, for Kerry to win the All-Ireland, I think there's a lot of positives for Mayo to build on last night. I know they lost the game through a last-minute point, but I think, honestly, you look at the players that Mayo have: Paddy Durkin, Rory Brickenden, David McBride, Sam Cannon's moving in seamlessly into that back line as well. You have Colin Reid, who's producing even better form from last season. Ryan O'Donoghue, Cillian O'Connor is playing a leadership role from the bench now, and that's a good thing as well. He's encouraging the younger generation from the bench, and he comes on to finish off a game. And I think Cork could learn a lot from what Mayo are doing at the moment. with their older players. More of that later. But what Kevin McStay is doing there, he's putting Cillian O'Connor on the bench and say, you lead the team. You're the leader of this group of players, this group of young players with the likes of Tommy Conroy, Ryan O'Donoghue. So lead that team. And then when you come onto the pitch, make your time count when it comes to the last few minutes of the game. And Cillian O'Connor contributed brilliantly yesterday. And he did, in fairness, at patches last year as well, coming off the bench. So I think there's a lot of positives for Mayo to build on. I think it's few things for Mayo. Number one, Aidan O'Shea. He played corner forward last year. He performed excellently there in the lead, to be fair to him. But again, he was just a bit lackluster yesterday. And there's a question. Do you want to play Aidan O'Shea the same role as Cillian O'Connor does now, coming off the bench and finishing off a game? Or do you want to play him in the full forward line being a bulldozer? Kevin McStay kind of has to make that decision now going into the championship. And another thing as well, and we said this week in, week out for Mayo, they're performing well now. How will they perform going into the championship? Look at the league last year. They were absolutely outstanding in it. Look at the first game in the All-Ireland Series last year against Kerry. I was actually at that game in Killarney, and I thought, look at Mayo that day, I was thinking, All-Ireland contenders. They are a superbly oiled machine in this game. They look brilliant. Owen McLaughlin scored that goal, and they dominated Kerry for period of the post in that game. But then, after the Kerry game, they squeak over the line against Louth. They lose to Cork. I don't know how that honestly happened. Granted, okay, they beat Galway. But then against Dublin, it was probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen Mayo play in Croke Park. In the second half in particular. So they can't have that burnout once it comes to the championship. I think there are positives now for Kevin McStay to build on. But I think he can't repeat the same mistakes as Mayo did last season. If they do, it could be another quarterfinal exit or maybe even earlier to that for Mayo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is unknowns about Mayo just because of the last few years, but I don't think anybody's doubting the talent and ability that they have. And, you know, like I don't see any reason why, especially if Dublin, Kerry and Derry, you know, come through their provinces, top their groups and everything else, I don't see any reason why Mayo can't get to a semi-final. And depending on draws and everything else, depending on obviously who they play along the way. But even in big championship games, there's no reason why Mayo can't put it up to Dublin, can't put it up to Kerry, unlike they have, I suppose, in the last few years. Speaking of Derry, then it was very, very strong victory for them, 3-17 to 13 points. Commanding 13-point victory from the men from Derry. What a result, what a performance. Shane McGuigan with 11 points, Kieran McFell on the score sheet as well. Obviously the goals coming from Conor McCluskey, Conor Doherty getting on the goal sheet as well. So a really, really Padraig McGrogan, I think, got the other one. Very, very dominant performance from a Derry perspective, and they're taking some stopping at the minute.
Oh, they are. Yeah, 3 wins out of 3. You couldn't do much more than that. And what was the main aim for Mickey Hart was number one to start off as you mean to go on. Look at Derry last season; they performed excellently, but just fell short at the last hurdle in the All-Ireland semi-final. It was up to Mickey Hart to keep those standards up in Derry, and he's doing that at the moment. And another thing as well is to build the squad, and he's building a squad definitely. Like, even look at the players that played yesterday. Lachlan Murray got minutes in there. Noel Lachlan, top scorer for playing the Sigerson Cup as announced during the week. He's going to play a huge part this season. Paul Cassidy in the half forward and Kieran McFall was at centre forward, which was an interesting role for him yesterday. And he performed brilliantly, in fairness. The 2 midfielders goes without question with Glass and Rogers there. And you still have Emmett Bradley to come in there as well. So all of a sudden, it all looks rosy in the garden for them. Because you look at the squad there, look at the options. Like, if Rogers or Glass gets injured, you could bring in Emmett Bradley then. Like, it's just the numbers that Derry have compared to last season is really, really promising. And even Ryan Scullion coming into goal, it was great to see him get minutes rather than Owen Lynch. And it shows the depth in the Derry squad. It shows that Mickey Hart believes in these Derry players to perform as good as, like, for example, Ryan Scullion to perform as good as Owen Lynch. So I think Mickey Hart has a lot of belief in the outer players in many ways. You look at Cormac Murphy last game against Tyrone. Like, if Emmett Bradley and the bench, Shea Downey as well. Ewan Mulholland actually came onto the pitch, and looking at him for what he brings in, looks like a serious player. Noel Toner as well, Conor McGokian on the bench. The more they bring in these players, the better Derry will be as a squad, not just the starting 15. And I think people wouldn't have argued that Derry had probably one of the best starting 15s in the whole country, along with Dublin and Kerry over the last 2 seasons. What let them down was their subs bench and finishing off games. And now they're bringing on these players, the likes of Una Mulholland, the likes of Cormac Murphy, the likes of Lachlan Murray, the likes of Niall Lachlan. I think there's a lot of positive for Derry going into the rest of the league initially and then the championship, because they look like a house on fire at the moment. Okay, Monaghan were missing a few players. You have to grant that as well. They were missing a load of players. I think Conor McCarthy was missing yesterday. Rory Began, well documented, missing. But they still had to beat what's in front of them. And they beat Monaghan by a total of 13 points, which was an incredible performance. So I think Derry fans will be really looking forward to the new season. Are they up with Derry All-Ireland contenders? I definitely think so. I think, honestly, if you're talking about power rankings right now, I think they're second in the country behind Kerry. But like, they look really, really good right now. And it's hard to think of a negative for Derry right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, is the only thing maybe what people have been saying really all year, and it comes back to what I said about Kerry and starting David Clifford, Paudie Clifford, everything else, like going so strong. Like it is kind of a strange one, because they went very strong in the league last season in Division 2. Obviously, they were playing lower quality. They still went on to win Ulster, and they still went on to have a very good performance in the All-Ireland semi-final. And then a good chunk of their players went on to win the All-Ireland club title as well. It's a hard one to know. Like, I suppose it's one then we won't know really until the end of the year. But could that maybe be the only thing that catches up with Derry? Maybe is the fact they are going so strong. And I suppose when you look at Ulster and how intense that is, like maybe that's the only thing that catches up with them.
The thing is, though, they're bringing a lot of players. Like, you look at Ryan Scullion yesterday, you look at Cormac Murphy in the last game, Lachlan Murray. They normally, under the Rory Gallagher regime, or initially then Kieran Mina, would Lachlan Murray have got a start in the Derry team? Would Ryan Scullion have got a start? Would Cormac Murphy have got a start? And that's the positives within Derry. I know they're performing well at the moment, but they're performing well while bringing in these young talents. And that's a positive for Charlie Diamond's another player. Like, Derry have won countless under-20 and minor titles. They were all-Ireland minor champions last season, beating Monaghan coincidentally in the final. So there is talent in Derry at underage, and Mickey Hart is only realising this, and he's gradually getting them into the team and getting them ready for championship level. And I think that's a positive for Derry moving forward. You can't just have like the same players like Shane McGuigan's, Conor Glass. They're brilliant footballers. But you need lads to come on and finish off a game too. And Derry have that in spades now. But Cormac Murphy was brilliant in the last game, particularly against Tyrone. Una Mulholland's coming in for Watty Graham's Lane. And if they can bring in more Watty Graham's Lane players, all the better. Like even, I don't know what age Conor Carble is, if he comes in, like a lot of things could be done with this Derry team. And with the success of Watty Graham's Lane, with the success of their underage teams, 2 in a row in Ulster, now going for 3 in a row, why can't they go over in All-Ireland? Look at their form right now. They are just an incredible. So I don't think, rather than it being a negative for Derry, I think it's a positive. The fact they're bringing in young talents, which they haven't done in the last few seasons, and they're still winning games. So if anything, Aaron, I think it's a positive that they're starting off really, really well. And I don't know what pundits they're saying that it's negative or thinking right now, because I don't agree with them.
Yeah, no, look, and to be fair, I honestly don't know. Like, it's one of them where I suppose I'm asking the question, but it's hard to argue otherwise, because of the fact that they did go very strong last year. They still got to a semi-final. They could have went all the way and won it, in fairness. And as you said, yeah, they've introduced a lot more younger lads into the side. And those have looked very good as well. Derek says Derry are peaking very early. Be interesting if they can maintain this level and pace. Mikey says until Derry beat Dublin or Kerry in the heat of the championship, they won't be seen on the same level. I understand that to a certain extent, because they need to go and do it. It was a bit like Donegal in 2012. Like, until they actually went and done it, a lot of people probably didn't take them too seriously, because they hadn't won an All-Ireland since 92. But at the same time, they were very close to beating Kerry last year. Their league performances now. So yeah, it's one of them things. I think they're on their way to doing it, but I suppose, yeah, maybe some people won't give them the credit until they actually do go and do it. Jarlath says it's not like Derry are even going all out. They still were missing 4 or 5 starters versus Monaghan, and positions were changed as well. Yeah, I suppose, like, looking at the side, maybe Oren Lynch maybe to come back in. Danny Talon maybe could be an option. There's probably a few others as well that I can't think of. Emma Bradley's on the bench, so yeah, fair. Like it is a fair point. Noah Toner came off the bench as well, so there probably is still a few to come back in for Derry. Jet says a lot of that Derry panel are relishing the chance of playing Division 1 football for the first time. And Gaelic Guy says Monaghan in trouble, but fantastic for Derry and are looking like favourites for the league and All Ireland. And plenty of prize for Derry tonight. Matt Macy Ferguson says I can't see anyone else winning the All Ireland. Derry have serious depth to their panel, and I'm a Mayo fan saying that. Yeah. Look. I mean, I suppose at the same time, I remember watching Mayo go really, really well in the league last year, and I kind of got carried away with them a little bit. So I'm going to be reserveful, but at the same time, I do think Derry are looking seriously strong. So yeah, it's going to be them, Kerry, or probably Dublin, in my opinion. And just getting back to what Gaelic Guy was saying here, like Monaghan looking a little bit in trouble. I suppose heavy defeat versus Kerry, heavy defeat here as well. I suppose what we know at Monaghan is they know how to dig themselves out of it, so it's not panic stations just yet. And the fact they beat Dublin a couple of weeks ago is still something they can hold on to. Maybe they probably weren't expecting to get anything from Kerry or Derry anyway, realistically. And some would argue the fact they have 2 points on the board from Dublin, Kerry, and Derry is actually a positive. But yeah, how would you read it for Monaghan?
I wouldn't panic. I know Monaghan fans wouldn't panic at all. Even look at the 3 games. Like, they're the top 3 teams in the country, and to get 2 points out of that is nearly a mini miracle. So I do think Monaghan, there's a lot to be positive about. Like, even when you look at the next few games, you have Mayo, Galway, off the top of my head now, Roscommon and Tyrone. Like, they're winnable. They are winnable games, and especially with those sides won't be at higher power as the likes of Dublin, Kerry, and Derry. I will say Mayo is nearly a write-off if Mayo have something to play for, but definitely against Roscommon, I'd fancy Monaghan because Monaghan have a bit of bite back about them and they will to stay up. I'd fancy them against Tyrone and against Galway. Well, Galway were decent enough now today, I have to say, in Armagh, so maybe that could be a draw. So you're thinking there 6, 7 points. I think that'll be enough. I honestly don't think that'll be enough for Monaghan to stay up. So I think they'll be fine. I honestly think they'll be fine. And the message to the Monaghan fans or any other fan that is worried about Monaghan, not to panic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Roscommon is who they play next as well. So that's a huge game because they win that, then I think they're all right. But if they were to lose it, then yeah, like they could be sitting bottom of the league potentially. So the next game is definitely very, very huge. In fairness, speaking of Roscommon, disappointing result for them away to Dublin, 119 to 112. Comfortable enough really from Dublin. I wasn't at the game, but I watched at home, and I thought it was a very well-rounded performance. It was much like the Mayo performance. The only difference was this time we took our chances, we took our opportunities. We obviously get, I suppose, a big goal from Noel Scully, which made it a lot more comfortable. Maybe things got a little bit nervy when Enda Smith gets a goal. Could argue maybe Roscommon could have had a penalty shortly after that. A few hairy moments, but overall, I do think Dublin were the better side, and take a big step towards staying in the league.
Yeah, and that's probably the aim for Tessie Farrell going into it. I don't think he wanted a league final. I just think he wanted to stay up in Division 1, and that was what Dublin were trying to do last night, and they had to go on and win this game if they had any hope of staying up, and they did it. And fair play to Dublin for that. What I will say, it was very interesting during the week to see Conor O'Callaghan named at number 9. I didn't watch the game, no Aaron, so was Con playing midfield? I actually seen him score because Paddy O'Cuffig Byrne came in as a late replacement. So is that the situation that O'Cuffig Byrne got midfield and O'Callaghan go up the forwards?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not really too sure why Con was named in midfield, to be honest. I don't know if that was just a bit of shithousery from Tessie Farrell. I really don't know. Like Dublin always tend to do these things. Like I remember once we named Con O'Callaghan in our starting 15 away to Kerry, and then he wasn't even in the panel, and Kieran Archer was the one wearing his jersey. And I was like, where he's just kind of come out, like it's like they've just spawned him from absolutely nowhere. So yeah, I don't know. Dublin do seem to get up to some weird antics sometimes with team selections and everything else. So no, it was actually weird watching him though, because he was kind of more like, it was hard to definitively say where he played. He was probably more nearly in the half forward line. but it was a lot more like the older Con where he was driving at players, he was getting past players, and it was more like the Con O'Callaghan of, say, 2019, 2020, and not like the Con from a few years ago where he's almost been sort of marked out of games. So yeah, I thought Con was very impressive. In fairness, Noel Scully, who came on, looked very good. And yeah, overall, I thought it was a very, very solid performance from a Dublin perspective.
And even Theo Clancy going full back, that's a positive for Dublin going to the championship as well. And I think you and yourself and Seamus and Luke to a certain extent as well have been crying out for this, for Theo Clancy to go full back. And he did so last night and did a decent job in fairness. So I think that's a positive for Dublin moving forward. David O'Hanlon had a decent performance in goal. You have Brian Fenton in midfield. Like, was Paddy O'Coffey Bird decent last night? Like, O'Coffey Bird's kind of the player that you're just willing to, make the next step for Dublin, get into the starting 15 in midfield. I think he's definitely capable of that. The question is, does he have the temperament to do it? Paddy Small was brought off after 15 minutes with no score. That was quite disappointing from him. Kieran Kilkenny, Ross McGarry actually had a good performance by the looks of things with 3 points. So yeah, that's a positive. So like that's a positive that all these bit part players perform well for Dublin. It seemed like last night. So that is a positive for Dublin moving forward. And yeah, some decent performances around the pitch, like Sean Bogler, John Small had some decent performances on there as well. Lord O'Dell came on and got a nice score as well. So I think there is a lot of positives for Dublin last night. The main positive obviously is the win and to get over the line and to get another step towards safety. I think Dublin are probably safe now. They just need maybe 1 more 2 wins. I think they're definitely safe. One question as well, Aaron. I noticed Cormac Costello went off after 8 minutes. Injury?
No, he got a mat. So it was actually a bit of a bizarre scenario. So Lee Gannon and Cormac Costello are going for the same ball, and Lee Gannon accidentally, as he was going for the ball, he missed the ball, and then he absolutely, with his other hand, just completely smacked Costello in the nose, and then like his blood was just gushing everywhere, and it looked like Costello maybe, I don't know the whole scenario of it, but it didn't look good, put it that way. But he was still conscious and everything else, so he probably would have carried on if he got the option to. But I think the safest option was to take him off. But yeah, a bit of a bizarre, like two Whitehall men as well, having that clash as well. So I'm sure that'll make for a funny story maybe in a few years' time. But yeah. So I don't think he might miss the Kerry game maybe, but it won't be. It should be okay, I think, in the long term. Hopefully. In terms of Roscommon, are they in massive trouble? Do you think 1 point from 3 games? I suppose Monaghan next, that is huge. I
think it was worrying what David Burke actually said in the post-match interview last night.
Yeah,
there's not all the panel have been training together, and it might be something small, but I just think it's worrying from a Roscommon point of view that these sorts of players like Enda Smith, Donny Smith, Dara Craig, they have the potential to fire Roscommon, but they won't fire when players miss training for one reason or another. So that needs to be fixed for Roscommon to be serious. And David Burke even mentioned that in the post-match interview. I do think there's a positive. Dara Craig at number 13 last night and did the Sigerson Cup during the week. I actually posted on my own page. Credit to Aidan Savage from BTS. I think he does the analysis in Kerry, and he actually took a video of Dara Craig scoring that score for UCD, which was absolutely outstanding. I said this years and years ago. Dara Craig has the potential to fire for Roscommon. Looking at him in the Sigerson Cup for UCD, looking at him for his club at Boyle, he's just an incredible footballer in many ways. And I think if he clicks alongside the likes of the two Smiths, Dermot Murtagh, Conor Cox, if he clicks alongside those, I think Roscommon have a serious forward line in the next 2 years. But I did say at the start of the season, Aaron, I said Roscommon will go down. I'm sticking to that prediction. I do think it kind of is a bit of second season syndrome with them. And they need a win. They basically need a win to kickstart their season, to get off on the right foot. And I think, you mentioned they're playing Monaghan next. Judging by the fixtures after that, I think they have to beat Monaghan, really. Monaghan got hammered last night, so I think that's a bigger opportunity than any to get a win. So I think it's a huge search for Roscommon to get a win in the next game. But ultimately, Aaron, I think they're going down. I do think they're going down to Division 2. I don't think it's a disaster. given the quality teams there are Division 1, I just think it might be a bit of second season syndrome for Roscommon this season in the league. But then again, they might perform better in the championship, who knows?
Yeah, agreed, says here. Any thoughts on Burke saying Roscommon having 65 training sessions already? Yeah, I've done some maths on that actually, and if that is possible, it will mean Roscommon have trained every day since December 15th. And that's including Christmas Day and holidays and on game days and everything else. So, yeah, look, I think Davy Burke was probably being quite flippant with that comment. I don't think he meant to literally, as in we have trained 65 times. It was very precise at the same time, so maybe he did mean it literally, but like surely not. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, unless he's counting game days and recovery sessions and all that stuff and individual one-on-one sessions, Zoom meet, like unless he's counting all these things, maybe. But yeah, what were your thoughts on his post-match comments overall? Because he was fairly fired up, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And I just think it's probably a way to fire up the Roscommon fans and fire up the Roscommon players in many ways. Yeah, even doing the maths on that that you did there, that's worrying for Roscommon point of view. And that includes, like, when I'm trying to think actually off the top of my head, the Roscommon Club Championship finished, I think, around Cork finished around the end of October. So I think it was around the same end of that time. So, like, it's worrying. It really is that Roscommon players will go straight into training sessions straight after the club championship. That just throws player welfare outside the window if David Burke is correct in those comments. So that's a bit worrying, not just from a Roscommon point of view, but like a Gaelic player's point of view in many ways. So yeah, it does strike a bit of worry. And as well as that, the most worrying aspect was out of those 65 training sessions, not once did all of the team, all the panel train together, which probably, means the Roscommon lack a bit of cohesion going to the league. Maybe it'll improve going to the championship, as I said, but it doesn't look good right now when they have 65 training sessions and not one of them involved every single one of the panel. So, bit of worry in Roscommon at the moment. I do think there's good players there, but like if those sorts of things keep happening day after day this season, there could be a bit of worry there.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and they did look very flat, in fairness. And have they been overtrained already? I don't know. Like, especially when you're coming out with statements like that. But yeah, I suppose it's one of them. I really don't think it was. They have trained 65 times. I think it's just something he said. But yeah, I suppose only him and the Roscommon team know that. In fairness, Galway get themselves their first win of the league in 2024, 110 to 12 points. Yeah, not the best game. Very scrappy. Both sides not really at it. Galway very poor in the first half. Tyrone, I suppose, 6 points in either half. They had some good moments, but overall fairly disappointing. But Galway in the end just about do enough. And look at, I suppose, a huge win, because I do think if Galway lost this, they were gone.
Oh, I did so as well. I said it in the podcast during the week to Seamus Brady, my own show, that yeah, if Galway loses and Tyrone, and he said this precisely, whoever loses this game is on very thin ice. And Tyrone look at thin ice at the moment. What I would say, it was a weird one for Galway, because actually looking at the stats, out of their shots from play, 75% converted. But overall, it was 61%. Why was that? From frees, it was 33%. That just shows you that they struggle without Shane Walsh, without Damien, especially Walsh on the frees. Like, Matthew Tierney didn't look good today on the frees. That was a worrying sign for Galway. Robbie Finnerty scored 4 points, fair play to him, and got the two of their only frees in the game, but was very poor once it came to the frees as well. So I think they need to improve in that aspect when they're missing Shane Walsh. But once Shane Walsh comes back into the team, the scores for play, look at the shot conversion rate today, I think will take care of itself. And I do think there was a lot of positives on the third orders of Galway, which we didn't see over the last 2 weeks. I do think, and I've always said this about Galway, it's just a frustration. There's always potential in them, but they have to produce a good performance. It was a semi-good performance from today. They hit from shots from play nearly from everywhere on the pitch, and they were knocking them over the bar. Their turnover rate was really, really good. Like, Kieran Malloy played well. John Daly played well in the full back line, or the half back line, should I say. Dylan McHugh came back in and did very well. So, and Cahill Sweeney obviously getting that goal midway through the second half, and that was crucial. That won the game, simply put. And Paul Conroy going off injured was a worry at halftime. I've seen him strap around the leg. That's very, very worrying to see. And he's an influential player for Galway. If they were to lose him, as well as Killian McDade, Shane Walsh, and Damien Comer, that's a worry for the rest of the league for Galway. But I do think it was a good win today. Good win. Good shot selection for play. But I think there's a few bits that Galway need to improve on. As for Tyrone, I think Derek Hanneman was really good today. But the fact was, he played Sigerson Cup during the week, and I said this, why I said Galway would win this game, because of the likes of Rory and Darragh Canavan and Conor Cush will be tired after their exploits for Ulster University. And that's not a blame on them. It's just, it was a hard slog of a game midweek against a tough UCD team. In fairness to Canavan, he scored 3 points. He converted 3 out of 4 shots today. And he was absolutely outstanding in many aspects. And it was kind of a surprise that he actually got brought up. But then when TG Gar actually mentioned that he was tired, then you could understand that. It was just, I think it was a gap of 4 days between the UCD game and the Galway game. Correct me if I'm wrong now. So that was a worry that once Canavan went off for Tyrone, there wasn't really much of a spark there. It was quite interesting actually. Con Kilpatrick at centre forward. He was a big marauding figure, but I don't think it's his best position. I think midfield is probably his best position for him. Look, there's worrying signs for Tyrone considering the next few games that they have, and the fact that they lost at home today, and Galway picked them off despite performing poorly in the first half. But Galway won't care. They got over the line today, and going to the next few games, I think 1 or 2 more wins, I think Galway will be safe. So they needed a win today. Absolutely needed it, and they got it. So fair play to Galway. But what I would say, Aaron, a really weird performance from a strike from it.
Yeah, it was, because like they were poor for large parts. Like in the first half, towards the end, they were really poor. But they kicked into gear, and I think the goal from Cathal Sweeney was huge. And I think it was just that resilience from Galway, like to be able to fight back from behind and turn it around. But as you said, like maybe a few worrying performances from Tyrone, and certainly a lot of work to be done. Like they played Dublin away in Croke Park on the final game, so like they'll want to make sure they have things wrapped up by the time that game comes around, because that will be most certainly a difficult one for them. I suppose we'll have a look at the Division 1 table before we finish up. So we've got Derry on top with 6 points, Kerry and Mayo both level with 4 points, Galway up to 4th now on 3 points after that victory. Dublin, Tyrone and Monaghan are all level with 2 points, but Dublin have the score difference advantage there. And Roscommon obviously sit bottom of the league. So it's nearly at the halfway stage. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the division progresses. Moving on to Division 2, and I suppose we'll have to start with Cork, who lost to Cavan 16 points to 17. I suppose I just put this in there just to get it over and done with, I suppose, for yourself. Like obviously the game wasn't on TV or anything. We're obviously doing this stream Sunday evening, so we haven't even had a chance to watch the Sunday game. But you were at the game, so a 1 point victory, both sides getting men sent off. And you were 3 points up at halftime as well?
Yeah, 3 points up at halftime and didn't score for play in the second half.
Not a particularly great day again for Cork. And Division 3 looks like it could be looming. It
is. I think we're going down now. I said this last week. I said this 2 weeks ago after the defeat to Louth. If we keep playing the way we are, we're going down. And we played the exact same way. The frustrating thing was we had so many chances yesterday to kill off Cavan, particularly in the first half, especially a one that strikes in my mind. Matty Taylor running straight through and goal, hand passes across the square. Owen McSweeney only has the crossbar to beat, and he somehow palms it onto the crossbar and we miss a goal chance. That was a chance to put us 6 points in front. And I just think the temperament when it comes to that is not good enough. We need to start taking chances sooner rather than later. I think it's frustrating the fact that we had more shots than Cavan. We were in control. Then Luke Fahey gets sending off. And I honestly think, even look at the game, he was fired up. He was going to get a second. He was on a black card, and a black and a yellow week was a red. So surely John Clear and Kevin Walsh would have taught him aside, and surely would have clocked it into their heads. He's going to foul again. He's going to get a second yellow and get us down to 14 men. We need to get him off the pitch. They didn't get him off the pitch, and we end up losing the game. just terrible from a player point of view, a sideline point of view. Just absolutely diabolical, really. I don't know. It's really, really poor to comprehend, considering like nobody watched the game. I was at the game. It was just like the midfield not good enough. The Colin Buchanan tried his best with Ian Maguire. I've said this time and time. I think he's past his best. The half-forward line, not enough oomph. We did the same things as we did against Louth. Went up to the 45, hand passed the ball back. I know I'm on rinse and repeat here, but we keep doing it. And we keep carrying the ball at the tackles. We can't keep doing that. In the forward line, like not scored for playing the second half was a disgrace. We didn't even test Cavan in that second half. Paddy Lynch was running rings, and what I will say, we have Daniel O'Mahony, Rory Maguire, some decent enough man markers in many ways. We put Maurice Shanley on Paddy Lynch yesterday, and he scores 9 points. Why? Like it's just poor from a tactical point of view, from a player point of view. It's not good enough, and something has to change because and people might say I'm too hard on Cartier, I'm too hard on the players, but what do these players need? Do they need like saying, oh, it's okay, we're going to win the next game, just do the same things as you do, or do these players and management need home truths? I'm going for the latter here, because if we don't sort this problem, we are going down to Division 3 and we are going down to the Tailteann Cup. I think a lot of people will say I might be overreacting, all that. But look at the last two. Donegal, okay, I wiped it under the carpet in the first game. It's Donegal. They're under Jim McGuinness. They're under a new revolution. But to lose the way we did against Louth and Cavan was not good enough. Not good enough from any standpoint, from the sideline, for the players. Overall, it was just really, really poor. And I'm thinking, what's the point of going to these games if they keep, performing the same way? They're not listening to the fans. They're not listening to pundits. They're not listening to, tactical experts. Why do you keep carrying the ball into challenges? Why do you keep passing the ball back when you're in the 45? Why can't you have the knack to go for goal? Why can't you take your goal opportunities when it's presented to you on a silver platter? I think it's just not good enough from many standpoints. And the way we're going out, I think we're going down to Division 3. And it's from a county board level, from a sideline level for the players, I don't think it's good enough in any standpoint at the moment from Cork. We're in a sticky situation at the moment. We're going down to Division 3 the way we are. It's not good enough, simple as. And I think, honestly, the way we're performing, we're losing to Fermanagh next week. It's almost like acceptance at this stage. And I said this in my predictions video. I said straight away, Cavan are winning this game. And the reason I say Cavan are winning this game is because we don't do the simple things properly. We carry the ball at the challenges. We pass the ball back. We don't go for goal when needed. We don't take our opportunities. There's no fighting us. And even a bit of stupidities when we were 15 points apiece level and we had Cavan on the back foot. All we had to do was push up on them. Then Cavan get the ball short. The goalkeeper from Cavan kicks the ball short to the defender. And then a Cork player goes stupidly into a challenge, free out. And then again, we're on the back foot. And Cavan go up and get the winner. Not good enough from any standpoint. And I don't know when it's going to end. As for Cavan, brilliant performance from them. Paddy Lynch scoring 9 points. And Park fought. There were a lot of fight in him yesterday. And you could see the Cavan wanted it more as well. They wanted to win that game. And even without Garrow McKieran and Conor Moyna, a lot of Cork fans would complain that we don't have Conor Corbett. We don't have Sean Poulter over the last few weeks. Cavan are missing their best 2 players in Conor Moyna in Garrow McKieran, and they could still perform brilliant performances like that. Why can't we? That's no excuse. And Cavan, fair play to them, fair play to John McMahon and all the Cavan fans. They brought the noise yesterday. They were absolutely outstanding. They wanted it more. And ultimately, they deserved to win yesterday. But for Cork, it is a sticky situation. And honestly, Aaron, we are going down to Division 3 the way we're playing at the moment. I genuinely believe in now because it's just drab at the moment.
Yeah, Paul says here, what's the difference between Cork this year than last year? Yeah, look, that's an interesting point. Because obviously last year, lost the opening game against Meath, but then you were very good against Kildare. Obviously, I remember. Obviously, we were watching the Dublin game, Dublin Cork, and Cork were probably unlucky not to have won that game. And it is mad because I don't feel like you've there hasn't been really many players I don't think that have opted out. Like looking at your team, maybe there's a few lads missing, but you still have a bulk of players there, like Brian Hurley, Stephen Sherlock. So like where is it going wrong for Cork? Because last year all Ireland quarter finalists, and now this year 3 games, 3 defeats. Like, like it's mad because like I suppose we were saying there about Mayo was saying here, I have a funny feeling Fermanagh will beat Cork, them and Kildare will go down. See Cork play in Talchin is unthinkable. But like Cork were in Division 3, 3-4 years ago. So like and there was no Talchin Cup obviously around back then. So like Cork have already hit this point, they have been relegated before. Like, and you think they would have learned after that, but it just doesn't seem to be the case.
And to go back to the comment there, what's the difference between last year and this year? We're not aggressive enough. We're not smart enough. What I will say, look at the game against Roscommon last year, the goal that Conor Corbett scored. We pushed up on the kickouts, right up on Conor Carroll, and we turned the ball over. There was none of that yesterday. Once the closest we got to turning the ball over from Cavan, we fouled him. We fouled the first man. It's just not good enough from any standpoint, really. Like, there's no urgency in our play. There's no attack onus in our play either. There's no smartness either. Like, we're too easy to play against. That's another thing. And what I will say, we had a pride in defending last year. We had a joy in defending. We absolutely loved it. And the teams actually struggled against us because we had a pride in the badge in defending. There's none of that this year. It's too easy to play against us. You see Paddy Lynch yesterday, he was running rings around our defence. No challenges being put in. We players that don't know how to tackle them. It's just poor from every standpoint, for defence, from attack, from midfield. We're not taking our goal chances. We need to do so in the next few games. Until then, we're not going anywhere. We're going to the Talchin Cup. And honestly, I will say this out right now. If we go down to the Talchin Cup, we are not winning it. Yeah. We're not, because the performances that we put in right now is not good enough. Defensively, attack-wise, not good enough. And what I will say, I'll provide an example. Like, we thought after Colin Collins left Clare that Cork would go way ahead of Clare and Munster in the Munster pecking order. I can tell you this for nothing. Right now, Clare are closer to Cork in second place than we are to Kerry right now.
Yeah.
It's a damning thing. And something has to click in the Cork County Board. Something has to click with John Cleary. Something has to click with the players. If they don't, we are going down. And we're going on a slippery slope after this, because it's just really, really frustrating. And I don't know when it's going to stop. I think, honestly, the only saving grace, Aaron, we'll mention Kildare later, is that Kildare are just as bad as us. That's the only saving grace, in all honesty. And we'll take Kildare and Parky Heave in match day 5. But that's the only thing that's kind of keeping me a small bit positive here. It's really, really poor from all standpoints, and it needs to stop sooner rather than later, or else we're going down a slippery slope into the Talchin Cup. And as well as that, in Munster, we're facing Kerry in Killarney. We are getting a pummeling off them. The way we're going at the moment, we are getting a hammering off them. If the players don't perk up, if the people amongst the team don't perk up, we are going down to Killarney and getting an absolute thrashing. It's not good enough. Simple as are. And that's my rant over.
Yeah, hurling 1, 2, 3, 4 says only 3,000 at the game, apparently.
Yeah, but who could blame them? Who could blame them? Because the team are not performing to their utmost ability.
Yeah.
Who could blame them, seriously? Who would go and watch that?
Yeah.
It's really, really poor.
Gaelic guy says Cavan dark horses for promotion. Look, I suppose, like, I mean, I know Cork, as you were saying, we're very poor, but I suppose when you look at Cavan's performance, like results so far, 2 wins from 3, away wins to Kildare and Cork, obviously Kildare obviously playing in Carlow, and even against Donegal, like they were very, very unlucky not to win that. So like, Armagh, to be fair, and Donegal are both looking like they're going to be very strong. But if there's someone there that can maybe catch up on if any one of those two sides go on a downward spiral and lose a few games, obviously Donegal and Armagh playing each other next, so someone's going to drop points there. Could Cavan maybe be the side to capitalise, do you think?
what I did see from Cavan yesterday, I think they were very smart in their play. I think attack-wise, they were really, really good. In kick-outs, they were excellent. 73% conversion rate was brilliant yesterday and were winning most games. So fair play to them for that. And more than anything as well, they knew how to push Cork's buttons. And Cork didn't respond to it, but Cavan kept doing the same things. They kept trying to annoy us, and they eventually got over the line in this game. And fair play to them. They performed to their strengths. They get over the line because of it. And are they dark horse for promotion? I think maybe next season. I don't think this season. I think Armagh and Donegal are just a bit ahead of Cavan at this particular moment in time. But I do think you have a diamond up front of Paddy Lynch. That's 22 points in Division 2 this season. So what a scoring tally he has at the moment. And yeah, Cavan are looking really, really strong. And yeah, I do think maybe third or fourth. I think you're in the right good place for that at the moment. But I think maybe next season Cavan could push for promotion. Maybe not this season because Armagh and Donegal, in my opinion anyway, are that good.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the issue for Cavan. But even at that, I think they can take a lot of positives from their performances. And look, if Cavan were to finish third or fourth, I think that'd be absolutely brilliant. And I suppose one thing you forget as well is that the higher you finish in Division 2 in terms of the All Ireland series, like it could help in in your ranking sort of in the All Ireland series. So they could be in an easier group maybe than if they were to finish fourth or fifth. As an example, I suppose moving on from that game, then I suppose another team that's like you think things are bad with Cork. I mean, Kildare seem to be absolutely all over the place. I mean, I was watching this game and like, don't get me wrong, it must be said, Armagh played some really, really nice football in the first half. They were really, really on it. A lot more variation in their play now. Last year, I thought Armagh were very passive in how they played, a lot of hand passes, very defensive. They were very cautious. But watching this game, like Armagh were kicking the ball, they were hand passing the ball, there was variation. They were kicking diagonal balls into Conor Turbot. They were playing a whole different way, different ways of playing football, and it actually reminded me a lot of Armagh of 2022, especially when they put in that performance against Dublin. But like Armagh were, I think, 11 points up after 21 minutes. And Armagh probably took their foot off the gas probably after that. I think Armagh scored, I think 2-9 in the first half, just 7 points in the second half. Like if Armagh put their foot on the gas, they probably could have beaten Kildare by 20, 25 points. That was kind of how this game was. Excellent from Armagh, but again, very worrying from a Kildare point of view.
It is actually, and even look at the score we all going into it because I was getting the train up to Thurles this evening. But yeah, I was saying really, really poor from Kildare, and it's worrying signs for them. Even look at the way they performed as well. At Turlock O'Brien saying on RT Radio that Kildare are just out of touch with modern football. They're really hit home for Kildare and the sticky situation they're in at the moment. It's just poor from many standpoints. 4 points from play today is not good enough. Armagh being 2-9 to 4 points up, I think it was. That's just a hammer, really, isn't it? It's really, really poor for Kildare. Like with Cork, I think the only saving grace for Kildare is how poor Cork are. And I think them two teams, honestly, are going down to Division 3. And it's just really, really poor from Kildare point of view. And even to ram it home even more, I've heard from John Fogarty from the Irish Examiner before coming on live here that Glenn Ryan actually had a fight with a journalist. Probably epitomises the pressure he's under at the moment, and with the stuff that happened last year with the Crow Park and the music and the things like that. Like Glenn Ryan, the onus was there for Kildare to put on a show this year to prove that we're a good team. We can be up there with the likes of Dublin, Kerry, without the distractions of the Crow Park or whatever. And they lose to Fermanagh, they lose to Cavan, and they lose absolutely handsomely today. It was just really, really poor from the off. And Armagh, as I said there, but the looks of things anyway, obviously didn't watch the full game, I have to watch the highlights of the sec. But having looked at the scoreline, I think Armagh could have beat them by whatever margin they wanted, really. It was really, really, and that's an Armagh team without Reno Neal in it. So it's really, really worrying from a Kildare point of view. It really is. Oisin Connaughton, from an Armagh point of view, did very well today, 4 points, and he has performed well in the league, in fairness. I think Armagh seem to be too good for this league. Stephen Campbell as well at 3 points. But you have to look at the opposition today more so, and Kildare were just really, really poor. And I don't know when it's going to stop. And a question to you, Aaron, do you think Glenn Ryan, after that kind of spat with the journalists today, do you think Glenn Ryan's time is up?
Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, I'm literally just reading it here now. And yeah, like, it just, by the sounds of it, I'm just reading like the transcript, and it just sounds very awkward. Like, it's obviously in relation to Mick Orman's comments, the Kildare county chairman, who obviously said during the week that Kildare's results weren't good enough, and Glenn Ryan is coming back saying, you know, the contents of that meeting weren't reported correctly, and then obviously the reporter saying that it was. I can send you the tape if you want to actually listen to it for yourself. Glenn Ryan's coming back and saying, no, I don't want to listen to it, and he's basically just, yeah, I think the pressure's probably has gotten to him, and it's just not looking good for Kildare right now. It's one of them where I know I suppose it's not really good in the GA or Gaelic football. It's never a good look in hurling in GA in general. If, you know, sacking manager, especially after, you know, a couple of league games, I don't think it's the right way to go about it. But I do think maybe a conversation needs to be had in terms of like mutual agreement, and, you know, maybe Glenn Ryan should look at it and think, you know what, I don't think he should admit himself that he doesn't think he's quite good enough, because you know, I know a lot of people are going mad about because I see a lot of Kildare fans giving out about the Kildare County Board, and fair enough, maybe there have been some issues there, but at the same time, when you look at Kildare, like, underage levels going very well. You know, under 20 All Ireland winners last year, got to the under 20 All Ireland final the year before that. You look at the growth of Kildare and hurling as well. Like, they're showing a lot of growth there. Club level, I think, has come on very well. Like, you look at the growth of Naas. So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think it can be down to the Kildare County Board. I do think this is a management issue, and a lot of players not making themselves available. Like, I do think if Kildare had someone else in charge, I genuinely do think you'd see Kildare improve.
That's the thing, is just the bad vibes around the camp as well. Like, he even looked at the dressing room with the under 20 winning team last year when they beat Sligo in that All Ireland final. You seen the interview with Marty Morrissey. There was just a positive vibe around Kildare GA at that time. There was a positive vibe around the dressing room, on the pitch as well, with the likes of Tomas Van Engelbrecht and Callum Bolton performing well, Cormac Barker and goal. There was very good performances for Kildare all over the field. But then once it gets to senior, the confidence starts to drain. That can't be just like a county board issue. That has to be a manager issue as well. And I think the comments from Glenn Ryan last year about Croke Park, I think that's just filtered into this season. I honestly think so, because it's just poor from many standpoints for Kildare, but that point included. And yeah, I do think Kildare are very, very good players. Like, Kevin O'Callaghan and Kevin Feely have the potential to be one of the best midfield partnerships in the country. Even Kevin O'Callaghan getting sent off later on today. It's just not a good vibe, is there, around Kildare team? Not under 20 minors club level. It's the team. It's a senior team. It really is really poor. I will say this as well. Their main university, actually, Mayo University, reached the Sigerson Cup semi-finals and put it up to Ulster University all the way in that semi-final match. The talent's there in Kildare. Like, Darragh Kieran was on that team for Mayo University.
Yeah.
Like, there's no questioning the talent for Kildare. I just think there's something wrong in the backroom team, in the senior level. I don't know what is going on. I really don't. Like, when you look at actually the people in the backroom team, Johnny Doyle was on my podcast a few years ago, and he always wants the best for Kildare football. And I thought that was a brilliant coup for them. Dermot Early as well. Excellent. Worked at the GPA for years. And I don't know, was Anthony Rainbow still there? Maybe correct me if I'm wrong here. But he was there over the last few seasons. He's another good influence. And Glenn Ryan himself won an Leinster title with Kildare, I think, as captain too. So there shouldn't be too much of a disgruntlement in the management team. But the fact of the matter is, and a lot of Kildare fans are saying this on social media, and this is the worrying point of view, the players don't look like they're playing for the manager. And once that happens, it's not a good sign for him. So I think Kildare are really in a rut at the moment. Might be worse than Cork. I don't know the severity of the issue. Obviously, I live in Cork, not Kildare. Maybe Kildare fans in the comments will tell us more about this. But it's just, from the outside looking in, it looks really, really poor for them. And I don't know how they're going to fix it. I'm not sure who they face next. I'll have to double check this, but they still have to play Louth, Cork at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I think they still have to play Meath and Donegal. Well, Donegal's an ultimate loss anyway. But you look at the other 3 games. Do you see, like Cork, maybe? I think the Kildare could take points out of them because Cork are that bad. Do I think they'll take points out of Meath or Louth at this particular moment of time? No. I think there's just a general bad vibe around the Kildare camp at the moment. So, yeah, it's not like a good hour. And I know it's not good to practice in an amateur sport, but with the comments made to journalists today by Glenn Ryan, I think it's almost like he's lost the head. And I think it might be time for him to go.
Maybe so, yeah. Cavan was saying here, don't know about you, Aaron, but I feel dumb thinking Cork would come second. Yeah. Predicting Cork to finish second, yeah, that definitely was not a good prediction, especially when you look at how good Armagh were as well, or Armagh are right now. But yeah, Keynes, Killen says heading to Armagh versus Donegal next week, shaping up to be the match of the year for Division 2. Yeah, like hopefully that game's on TV because it's going to be an absolute cracker. In fairness, Gaelic says we're missing Rian O'Neill, Charlie O, Jason Duffy and Shane McPartland today, plus others. Really good for ourselves, but disgraceful for Kildare. Yeah, look, I mean, they play Meath away next and then they play Cork away after that as well. Like maybe they might get Donegal at the right time when Donegal are already promoted. Again, I don't know. Like very, very hard to see Kildare turn it around from here. I suppose moving on from that one then, Meath got their first win of the league in 2024, 111 to 1-9. Yeah, huge win this for Meath because I suppose they wanted to branch out of that bracket of Kildare and Cork being in the mud. And I suppose for Meath, they got over the line. It was a very even game. Like I watched the game, I watched the deferred coverage on TG Cahir, and to be honest, it really could have went either way. Very like both sides were level throughout. Louth had some good moments in the game. Meath would then respond. But yeah, Matthew Costello gets a big goal towards the end. Louth get a consolation goal straight after. But yeah, huge win for Meath and for Colm O'Rourke's men because if they lost this, I think they there was a potential for them to maybe be dragged into this. But after this win, if Kildare to come at home next week, I think Meath, looking at it should be okay.
They should be, and I said this about Meath. A lot of people might have laughed about my comments about Meath, saying that Cork Kildare are an absolute rabble at the moment. Well, I do think Cork and Kildare are nothing like Meath. I think Meath have the capabilities to get out of the hole, and they proved that today. They produced a very good performance. They were 9 points to 6 down at 1 point check against Scorpio, and they came back into that game, roaring back into it. Like Matthew Costello, brilliant finish, and under that amount of pressure as well, they strike it home. Like Meath have very good players, and they just have a good vibe around the camp as well. Like Colm O'Rourke, a lot of people, including yourself, Aaron, I will point that out, have questioned Colm O'Rourke's methods in the past. But I didn't stick to it last year. But when I seen Meath win the Tailteann Cup and the togetherness with the Meath panel, I was thinking, yeah, that's a tight-knit group, and they're going to get out of trouble here. And yeah, I always believed in this Meath team. It took us to match day 3. But when you think about it, actually, in the first 2 match days, Armagh proved today and any other day that they're one of the best teams in the division. So maybe the match day 2 was a write-off. Fermanagh, they performed poorly, but they still got a point out of that game. So you have to give them credit for that. And they got a crucial win today. So I think there's a lot of backbone in Meath. I'd be very positive if I was a Meath fan right now. I said initially they'll finish third. They could still do that. I don't think at this particular moment in time they're probably not up to that scratch yet. But I do think there's positive vibes around Meath football. There really is. Like Aaron Lynch is an excellent player. Jack O'Connor, obviously. George Morris, Matthew Costello, Shane Walsh. There are some very good players. And it only took a manager that knows Meath football inside and out, and who is a very tactically good coach and has a brain. And that's Colm O'Rourke. And he's definitely proved it. He has pieced this Meath team together. He's done really, really well. The Meath players have done well, and it was a brilliant win for them today. They should be very, very delighted with the performance. As for Louth, I think they have done well, Louth, in this league campaign. I think they'll be disappointed how they let the lead slip really. I think the 9 points to 6 up. Meath came back into the game. They got a consolation goal at the end. You wouldn't have thought that on like 50 or whatever minutes it was, that there were 9 points to 6 up. So that's a bit of a disappointment for Louth. But look, they've had a good league campaign so far. But I just think they need maybe one more win. I think one more win would do them to stay up. And I think they have Cavan next at home. I'm not entirely sure of that. No, correct me if I'm wrong. But if they win that, I think they're maybe they could be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I say, it's definitely, it's a bit like the Monaghan result earlier. Like, it's not panic stations for Louth. I think they've shown enough in the opening 3 games, and they obviously have the head-to-head record over Cork as well. So like the still, I think all for Louth, I think their main aim would have been to stay in this division anyway. And considering what was in most people's eyes a tricky enough start in playing Armagh, Cork, and Meath, to have 2 points from those 3 games, I do think they'll be fairly happy with that. In fairness, Donegal, huge win for them, 2-16 to 8 points. I think there was only a point or two in it. I was watching a bit of this game. It was obviously on GA Go. I think it was 2 points in at half time, but Donegal really pulled away in the second half. Very, very strong performance. Considering Fermanagh have been a bit of a sticky team for some teams to come up against so far, the likes of Kildare and Meath, fair play to Donegal. Like, they absolutely brushed them to the side in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. And fair play in particular to Dara Boyle, 2-3 in this game, and 2 goals in the second half, which changed the course of this game. And it looked for bits in this game, it looked like Fermanagh would get a point at least. Like, they were 1 point down at half time by the looks of things. And but Donegal powered on. They got the win in the end, and they showed what a good team they are in Division 2, and they are one of the best teams in the division by a mile. For Fermanagh, I do think they'll beat Cork next week in the Derby, but I do think it's a crucial game for them, because you play devil's advocate for a minute. If Fermanagh lose that game, they're right back in a relegation dogfight. So I do think it's a crucial game for them to get back up to the horse next week. I do think they will do that, but I'm just going with all the options here. But yeah, I do think they're a good team for Fermanagh, but they were just beaten by the better team on the day, this Donegal side. They're a really, really good team. And what I will say, as Killian mentioned earlier in the comments, Donegal Armagh next week. What a cracker that'll be. And I will say this, Aaron, I know it's live. I think it's on the BBC iPlayer next Sunday. So I'd say the popcorn will be out.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And you know what, like, looking at how well Armagh play, I know Kildare were very poor, there's no doubt about it, but looking how good Armagh were, I don't know, I was thinking feeling maybe Armagh might win that, but Donegal at the same time have looked very, very good as well. And maybe there might be an element of shadow boxing ever so slightly, with these two being from Ulster. But yeah, should be a cracking game, and very much looking forward to it. So this is the Division 2 table in Armagh and Donegal with 6 points, Cavan with 4, Fermanagh and Meath both with 3 points, Louth with 2 points, and Cork and Kildare both rock bottom with 0 points. Looking at the Division 3 games, I suppose a big standout result here was Clare, who got over the line against Offaly, 210 to 112. 3 defeats on the bounce for Offaly, so not looking too good for them. But for Clare, look, fair play to Clare. Like, as we were saying 2 weeks ago, like, they, I suppose, were obviously maybe harshly done by in the Westmeath game, and maybe felt that they should have come through and won that. But look, they get over the line here versus Offaly, and huge result for the Banner County.
What I will say for Clare, they've shown a lot of resilience throughout the year so far. They've took a bit of pummelings in the McGrath Cup against Cork earlier in the year. They could have easily thrown everything out of the pram. But when you look at the players that they've lost 11 players, and they're still on 4 points out of the possible 6 in Division 3. That's an outstanding performance from them. And it's really, really good from in fairness. And context of this game for anybody that didn't watch it, and I've seen it on Scorpio, Offaly were 110 to 4 points up with less than 20 minutes to go in this game. Wow. Yeah. So this was a brilliant comeback from Clare. Dermot O'Donnell getting 1 goal, and Kieran Downs, getting the goal from the penalty. And it was an exceptional performance from Clare, particularly in the last 20 minutes. It just shows, even without Colin Collins, there's a lot of heart in the Banner. Really, really good performance from them. I think it's a tad worrying for Offaly. I think the only saving grace is that Wicklow and Limerick, who we'll mention later on, are both on 0 points. But Bad for Offaly, but very, very good win for Clare. Particularly the situation that they were in. To get themselves out of that shows unbelievable resilience. And this is a Clare team without Owen Cleary, Keelan Sexton, Darren O'Neill, Kieran Russell, Podge Collins, all their brilliant spine players gone. And they produce a comeback like that. I think it's admirable. Fair play to Clare. And I think that's one of the performances of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was. And to be that far down, that is some comeback, in fairness. And yeah, like maybe a little bit worrying for Offaly. Like looking at it here, Keane Farrell goes off after half an hour, maybe an injury there. But yeah, fair play to Clare for stepping up and delivering and seeing Emmett McMahon with 3 points. I remember seeing him against the Dubs last year in Croke Park, and I thought he played very, very well. So look, they've lost some key players, but they still have some key players there. So look, whether it's enough for them to get promoted, I'm not so sure, but I do think, there were some murmurings of them maybe going down to Division 4. I don't think that's going to happen. I think 4 points on the board now. I think they're more than fine, and if anything, they'll be closer to promotion than they certainly will be to relegation. In fairness, Antrim 1-6 down 115. Yeah, very, very comfortable win in the end for Down by looking at this scoreline, and yeah, like a lot of people expected this to be a lot closer, but huge win for Down.
I think the credit needs to go to Down here because, like, Antrim performed well over the last 2 weeks, and people were saying that this would be a tight game, including myself. I thought this would be a really, really tight game. But Down to put a sunder on them like that shows their credentials at Division 3. It shows that they're serious. They look a really, really good team at the moment. Caleb Doherty getting 1-1 in late on in this game. He's another player to potentially make a stay in this Down team. Pat Hayward scored 6 points today. So, like, Down look really, really good. And they look on the road to a Division 3 final. And maybe, like, the thing is, though, like, if they were facing Armagh from last season, I'd give them a chance of beating them in Ulster. But the fact that Armagh, as we mentioned, are performing really, really well at the moment, like, it's a hard one to Down, isn't it? I think they'd want me to stay up in Division 2, won't they? Because if they win in Division 3, it looks like they'll be in the All-Ireland series then if Meath stay up. So it's all about luck for Down. But personally, I think Down deserve to be in the Salmon World Cup. They're that type of a team. They look really, really strong at the moment. Conor Rafferty's knitting it all together really, really well. And yeah, I honestly hope Down will be in the Salmon World because they definitely deserve to be in the Salmon World more than Kildare and Cork.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of them for Down where, like, the Ulster province has never really probably looked this strong. When you look at how well Donegal and Armagh are playing in Division 1, like, Derry are absolutely on fire. Like, I know Tyrone and Monaghan have lost a couple of games recently, but even at that, I think we all know the talents that they possess. Antrim are looking very good. Cavan are looking strong. So it's just one of them things for Down. But yeah, like, for them to get into the All-Ireland series, I think would be absolutely huge from a Down perspective. Westmeath got over the line against Wicklow, 113 to 10 points. Massive result from a Westmeath perspective. And Sligo got over the line versus Limerick, 112 to 10 points. So yeah, probably like not really too many surprises from both of those two games.
Not really, and it probably epitomises that Wicklow and Limerick, two sides that I predicted to go down, by the way, in my predictions videos. They look like they're in serious trouble, Aaron. They really are. And it's a shame. Like Limerick, I'd love them to do well, obviously, but it just doesn't seem to be clicky at the moment. To be fair, they pushed Sligo all the way in this game. And I thought it'd be probably closer to 10 points than 5 points. So fair play to Limerick for that. Wicklow, yeah, I just think they have good players in Kevin Quinn, Owen Darcy, all day, but I think Division 3 is a step too far for them. And it just shows this season that it is looking that way. Westmeath, on the other hand, look really, really good for promotion. And Sligo, who's to say they can make a promotion charge? So, yeah, a good result for Sligo and Westmeath, but Wicklow, Limerick staring down the barrel completely.
Absolutely, yeah. Looking at the Division 3 table, Down and Westmeath, both with 100% winning records, 6 points. Sligo and Clare both with 4 points. Antrim with 4 points as well. Offaly, Wicklow and Limerick all locked level there with 0 points. So yeah, some big games next weekend in Division 3. Looking at Division 4, I suppose the standout result here was Leitrim 3-7, Wexford 2-9. We mentioned Ryan O'Rourke obviously coming back into the Leitrim team, and he scores a hat-trick. So absolutely huge. And one of the goals as well, from looking on Scorebio and from reading reports and everything else, was a penalty. So, Leitrim have had their fair share of bad luck with penalties. So they would have been very maybe nervous for any Leitrim fans at the game watching this. But they got over the line, and huge win for Leitrim. 3 wins from 3.
And to add as well, 74th minute of added time, that was the penalty. So brilliant say, wanted from Ryan O'Rourke to take it. And he's a great lad. He really is. He was a pleasure to interview on my podcast previously. And I would have loved him to do well over the last few seasons. I don't know, was it injuries or whatnot that didn't work in his favour? But he's back now, scored a hat-trick today. Brilliant performance. And probably, in terms of individual performances, he's probably the player of the weekend in many ways. Brilliant showing from him. And brilliant one for Leitrim. And maybe I was being a bit too hard on them when you think about it. It's the thing with Leitrim that kind of frustrates me, because with Andy Moran at the end over the last 2 seasons, they were very, very poor, and I backed them to get promoted year on year. But then the 1 year I don't back them, they do well. So kind of frustrated on that point of view. But brilliant win for them. For Wexford, a difficult defeat today. But I think the story's all about Ryan here.
Yeah, it's one of them. I suppose the opening 2 games against Waterford and London, you would have expected them to win that, and then they get a last minute penalty to win the game. So it's one of them. If that doesn't go in, then they've lost, and it's a bit of a setback. But when you look at the league table, and we'll get it up in a minute, it is looking pretty good, I think, for Leitrim at the moment, especially with how other teams are getting on at the minute. I do think it looks quite nice from a Leitrim perspective. Laois 214, Carlow 9 points. Laois are absolutely flying in Division 4 at the minute.
Yeah, they're flying, and I think there's a lot of positive vibes around Laois, should I say. There are some good players there. Evan O'Carroll, Mark Barry, they're performing to their high potentials. Killian Road scored another 3 points yesterday, and they are going really, really well. For Carlow, look, same as Monaghan and Louth, I wouldn't press the panic buttons on this. I think Laois are just a better team than Carlow at this particular moment of time. I think they'll be looking towards the game against Leitrim. I don't know when that's going to be, but it was a difficult defeat today. But I'm sure they'll be back. They'll be back in the next few weeks. But Laois, they look a serious team, don't they? And to be honest, Aaron, I don't know how they're a Division 4 team. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've more than enough quality. And to be fair, when Billy Sheehan was in charge, they went from Division 2 to 4 in the space of 2 years. So it does go to show Laois. I'm not saying they are a Division 2 side, but they're certainly too good to be a Division 4 team. No question about that. And then the last 2 games, Waterford 13 points, Longford 16 points, and London won a Tipperary 11 points. These were 2 games in previews and everything else. When I had Dara O'Connor on from the sideline view during the week, we both said Longford and Tipperary should win these fairly comfortably. Maybe London might cause a scalper, but even at that, I think we both said we would both fancy Tipperary and Longford to win it. First of all, fair play to both Waterford and London. Fair play to London for getting a draw, and even Waterford actually put in a fairly good performance here, and actually battled very hard. And I was seeing on Twitter a few Waterford fans were very proud of their team for this performance, because we were kind of looking at it and thinking Waterford would be absolutely hammered every week. And look, they still lost by 3 points, but they put in a good shift, in fairness.
And so should they be proud of their team? A 3-point defeat to a up-and-coming Longford team under Paddy Christie. I think that's a really, really good result for Waterford. And they need to build on this now. They need to produce another good performance the next day, maybe get within 2, get within 1, get a draw, and then get a breakthrough victory. They need that in Waterford football. And this was a good step today, or yesterday, should I say. Really, really good performance from them. As for London, Tipperary are very frustrating, aren't they? They produce a very good performance 1 week, and then the next week, they collapse against a side like London. And no disrespect to London, very good performance from them. Shea Rafter came on and got a point, I think, today. And they got a last-minute equaliser. I think it's 77 minutes equaliser in the additional time to equalise this game. But really, really poor result for Tipperary in this game to get a draw, and it probably dampens their promotion hopes.
Absolutely, yeah. So looking at the Division 4 table, and by the way, if anyone wants to see these tables on Twitter, and make sure to check out @GA League Tables on Twitter. Very very handy. They update their tables straight away, and they don't do it Monday on Monday morning like the GA.ie website. So it's kind of fairly handy and saves me having to build one out myself. So Leash and Leitrim both there with 6 points. So both with 100% record. Carlow in third with 4 points. Tipperary fourth with 3 points. Longford and Wexford with 2 points. London and Waterford both down in the bottom two. London with a single point there. So in terms of player of the week and moment of the week, what would you be looking towards?
Player of the week, I'm going to go for Ryan O'Rourke. I don't care if it's Division 3, but a hat-trick in any game is brilliant. So I'm going to go for Ryan O'Rourke scoring a hat-trick there. For moment of the week, I'm actually going to go dip outside the Alliance League again. I know I usually do this, but if we will focus on the inter-county game, maybe once the championship comes around. Mayo beating UL to claim their third Fitzgibbon Cup, and that scene in the end with Jamie Wall and Podge Collins, two cousins, managing the team, it's brilliant to see. And I am a UL man. It was disappointing that they lost that game, but fair play to Mayo, brilliant performance, and they deserve the Fitzgibbon Cup for their efforts this season. So I'm going to go for that for a moment of the week.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that was a huge moment in fairness, and congratulations to Mayo and commiserations to UL. And 3 in a row now as well. So that's that's some goal in fairness for Mayo. Three in a row.
No, UL were going for 3 in a row. But Mayo stopped it.
3 in a row, Mayo stopped it. Yeah, fair. There we go. Shows how much I know about Fitzgibbon Cup nowadays. But there we go. Yeah, I suppose in terms of player of the week, I suppose you could lean towards David Clifford. 5 points. I thought he was very impressive. But again, I'd probably go with what you've gone with. I think I'll go with Ryan O'Rourke as well, because to get a hat-trick was very, very impressive. I mean, Shane McGuigan scored 11 points versus Monaghan, so you could go for him. Ross McGarry I was very impressed with. I'll go for Con O'Callaghan. I'll go for a Dublin man. Why not? And then in terms of moment of the week, Leitrim maybe get... Don't really know. Yeah, do you know what? I suppose there weren't really too many huge standout moments. We'll go with Dublin beating Roscommon because, we're staying up. We're doing it. Dublin, we are staying up. We are staying up. That's going to be the chant now ringing around the streets of the capital tomorrow morning and later into the week until we play Kerry, and then we'll be back in our box. But yeah, Matthew, cheers very much for coming on. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will speak to you all soon.